Hi, everybody. Joe Ingram, the sales genius. I appreciate you taking your time, clicking on this podcast, or watching us on YouTube. And I do want to say I appreciate every one of you for taking the time to listen. I want to go into a subject today. The subject I want to talk about is called assumed rapport. And what do I mean when I say assumed rapport? It's a phrase I coined just because what I want everybody to understand is that when it comes to dealing with a prospect, I want you to treat the prospect as if you were already friends. When you have a sales cycle and you're doing it with someone that you know and you're familiar with and you've already done it, a lot of people like to go for what we call relationship sales. One of the things that hurts me when it comes to relationship sales is that it takes too long. There's a lot of time involved when you're looking at relationship sales. I have to do what first? I got to build a relationship. And a lot of times that gets in the way of making a sale, and it's going to prolong it. Yeah, the person may like you. They may take your calls. They may answer your emails. But if they're not interested and they just enjoy you as a person, then there might be a sale down the road. But I don't want to wait to see if there's a sale down the road. I want to try to move someone forward today. I want to move them forward right now while I'm talking to them. So one of the issues I say is that a lot of people try to do matching and mirroring, which is great when you're face-to-face with a client. Now, not all of us get the luxury of meeting with a client face-to-face. Some of us have to do all of our transactions via email. Some of us are doing it via text, and some of us are doing it via phone. So in those situations, can you actually be friends with somebody on the phone? Can you be friends with someone over email? And can you be friends with someone over text message? I'm going to say yes, you can. And the way I'm going to say yes, you can is because I want you to assume that you already know these people. You already know them, you already trust them, you already like them. Because remember, the 4 steps in our sales process, regardless of all the things you have in a sales step process, sometimes I have people with 8 steps to a sale, 10 steps to a sale, 12 steps to a sale is a recovery program, so you may want to chop off a couple of them there and get yourself back down to 10. But they all fit into 4 different categories. The 4 different steps that it's going to take for someone to buy from you. And it's going to be like is the first step, L-I-K-E. You got to like you. If they like you, they just may listen. That's step 2, listening. When they like you and they start listening to you, then they just may believe you, which is step 3. And then only if they get to that point of believing you, then they may do step 4, which is buy from you. And if you stop and recognize that this entire process of like, listen, believe, and buy has to do with every friendship you've ever had, every relationship you've ever had, any transaction that has occurred between 2 people has to get to that point. Stop and ask yourself, if you sat down and said, the person you hate the most, okay, think about that person, they go and tell you a really funny joke while they're there. Are you laughing? I'm going to tell you right now, you're not laughing. You may try to remember it for later so you can laugh, but you sure as heck are not going to give them the satisfaction of laughing right now. So you're going to take that joke and you're going to leave. But I'm not going to give that person satisfaction by laughing because I dislike that person. And if I dislike them, I'm not listening to them truly, and I'm sure as heck not going to believe that person. That's probably what caused you not to like them to begin with. But I want you to understand that's the process we're going to try to move people through. And the quicker we can move them through that. Now, how do you get someone to like you? Well, of course, you got to show interest in them. Everyone's favorite topic is themselves. So I want you to understand, if we're going to concentrate just on like today, what is like? When it looking at it that way, I want them to like me. So I got to be interested in them. Okay, I'm not the individual that sits down and tries to jump into somebody and say, hey, do you have pets? Do you have kids? Right? What do you do for fun? What do you do for this? I don't do that because that typically does not give me any way in to talk to a client other than that prospect looking at me and saying, well, here he goes trying to build rapport. And we've had people do this to us before, and we have said to them, wow, this really is not going to help me because you're trying to get all personal, and I'd much rather keep it as business. Now, the more you invest into somebody, the more they share with you because you're interested in them, they will divulge the information that you need to get you to that like page. Because remember, they're actually saying to themselves, I like myself and I want to talk about myself. And we jump in with the whole, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell my way to a sale, and you can't do that. You got to ask your way to a sale. So I'm going to start asking a bunch of questions for the client about the end result. What is it they're looking for? What's stopping them from getting it now? Is there currently a vendor that's not supplying them with what they want, or what are they not happy with? But I'm going to get all this information, and then they're going to start to divulge it. And the better I listen to them, Okay, so listen to this part. The better I listen to them and the better I can do what I call a feedback loop, which is I will stop them and go, okay, let me make sure I understand what it is I just heard. Okay, and then I will feedback what they told me with the emotion that was there. And if in fact I did hear it correctly, then they're going to feel appreciated. They're going to feel that I am truly listening to them, which is going to move us one step closer into the like category that's there. As they divulge personal information, use it to your advantage. Sit down and talk to the person, okay? Talk to them about their kids if they bring up their kids, but don't go fishing for things to try to find commonality. Let them bring up to you. Right now, the only thing you have in common is the product. And let's stick with that until we can get ourselves past it, because otherwise we're going to lengthen the sales process. And I want to sell something today. I want to sell something now. If it's a phone call, I want a one call close. That's what I push for. If it's an email transaction, I'm looking for commitments on an email to get to the phone call that's there. And if I have a product that I have to sell face to face, then I just need to get that email, that text, or that phone call to get me the appointment that I need. And instead of selling the product, I sell the appointment and the value of meeting with me. And that's what I want you to talk about. But I'm not going to give you the opportunity to talk to me about the value of you and what you can do for me if you're not listening to me and understanding what my needs are. So get to the point of liking, but I want you to assume immediately that you're talking to a friend of yours. Now, don't get off color. Don't go into the taboo sections of the world that we avoid in business, okay, which is religion, which is any moral issues, which is anything that could be construed as painful, politics, stuff like that. Don't jump into that. That's not what we're talking about as far as your friends. This isn't bar friendship. This is an acquaintance that I already know. But I want you to assume you already have it. I want you to talk to them as if they're already there. Okay, we've already got past that awkward part of me trying to sell you something. So I want to get past that point. And I want you to assume you've already got past that. So I want you to talk to them like it's your third or your fourth follow-up call, and talk to them and ask them how they're doing. What's going on? What is this? What is this? Blah, 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 blah. How are you? What are you experiencing with this and this? And I want you to go in there and I want you to talk to them as if we're already friends. So remember, write that down. Assumed rapport. It's assumed rapport. Get in there and pretend you're already friends, and you'll find that a lot of people, roughly 69% of the people out there, are not going to fight you. They're just going to go, oh, that's great, and they're going to let you go into the process, and they're going to turn around and tell you later it was the easiest sales process that they've gone through. Why? Because I already treated them as if they were a friend, so we got the first step out of the way. And as I listen to them and listen to them, they are going to like me, which then in turn lets them listen to me. Once they listen to me, they can believe and they can buy. So that's what I want you to go out today, and I want you to sit down and start assuming friendships with everybody. Practice on somebody that's not a client right now. I want you to go to a Starbucks or a coffee shop, some coffee and tea leaf or something. I want you to go there and introduce yourself to somebody who you don't know, but I want you to introduce yourself and talk to them as if you already know them. And let's get you into the habit of assuming rapport, and watch how, as long as you're not coming at them creepy and scary looking, they're going to be okay with it, and they're going to introduce themselves and they're going to talk to them, and then you're just going to start assuming rapport. Talk to them. What's the one thing you have in common wherever it is you met them? Okay, so if you're meeting them at a coffee shop, then talk to them about how often do they come there? What is it that they're doing, right? I have never seen you at this place before, but this, and that. Remember, we're not trying to hit on them. We're just trying to say, I'm making a friend, but I'm jumping the awkward stages of making a friend and talking to them as if I already am their friend. Okay? I hope this helps you. Any questions, please feel free to message me back, either here on the YouTube channel, the podcast channel, or you can reach out to me on salesgeniuslive.com on the blog site, and I'll be more than happy to answer any specific questions you have, or if you have some topics you want to hear. I do have probably about 50 topics that are already ready to set up for me to actually talk about, but I would be interested to know what you're looking for. If you do find anything interesting, please do like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you all, and you have an absolutely wonderful week, and make it a good one.